How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I am here today to answer a question that I get a whole lot. Should you get, for your first still, a pot still or a reflux still, and why? Welcome to Still It, everyone. I'm Jesse and this is the channel all about chasing the craft of home distillation and making it a legitimate hobby. So if that's what you're into, guys, if you want to chase the craft, this is the channel for you. Make sure you hit the subscribe button down below and the notification button as well to make sure that you get to see more of this content. Alright team, so at least 5 times, 6 times a week I'm getting questions asking what type of still a certain person should get to get into the hobby. What I want to do first, guys, is give you a brief overview of what the difference between a reflux still and a pot still is, because those are the two main types of still that you're going to run into. Talk about how they work, and then we're going to go back and talk about what it is that you want to make, which is the very most important thing, I think, in deciding what still you should purchase first or build first. Alright guys, so the first thing I want to talk about is the pot still. Now this is the pot head, the copper pot head off the top of my claw hammer supply still. Now I wanted to show you this because a pot still is so freaking simple, and there's actually parts on this that don't need to be there as well, technically, to make it a pot still, but I wanted to show you. So essentially all a pot still is a mechanism to get the vapor out of the boiler, which there's, imagine this is connected to the top of the boiler here. All it does is take the vapor from the boiler, move it to a condenser and condense it somewhere. So that's literally all it does. The vapor's coming up here because it's got nowhere else to go. It's forced over the top into the condenser here. There's cold coolant water going in here and coming out here, which makes this whole area here, the whole condenser, cool, recondensing the vapor, and it pops out the bottom here. So I want to show you inside this thing real quick as best I can. I want to show you that there's literally nothing inside it. I don't know if you guys, I hope you guys can see through that. See? Literally nothing in there. It's literally just a tube to get the vapor from A to B. Because of this, it's basically the simplest, I don't know if that's quite the right word for it, the most straightforward type of distillation there is. There's nothing crazy happening. You're literally heating the wash in the boiler. You're corralling that vapor to another point where you're cooling it down and condensing it to collect it. A reflux still, on the other hand, has one main difference to a pot still, and that is active reflux. Before the vapor has a chance to go over the line arm and through the product condenser, the condenser here that gives you the product at the end, it is going to have another type of condenser sitting here, somewhere before it goes over that line arm. So here's a couple of different versions of what that condenser might look like. In the case of a CCVM still, like mine, it might be a copper coil, like so. There might also be a copper coil in something like a Boca still. Don't worry about these names too much, guys. If you want to look into these stills more, just Google the names. There's plenty of material out there. I'm just showing you examples of what a reflux still might look like, because there are literally hundreds of different configurations. You may also have something that looks a little bit like this sitting in line on the still as well. But the idea is, guys, that somewhere along the column, before it heads over to the product collecting jars and the product condenser, there's a condenser sitting at the top of the column that is sending reflux back down the column. Now what I mean by that is the vapor comes up the column here, it hits the condenser, some of the vapor is allowed to go over and condense into product, but some of it is sent back down the column this way by recondensing it here. And that is where this stuff comes in. Packing of some description. You can use copper mesh, copper scrubbies, stainless steel mesh, marbles, rasher rings, SPP, ceramic pieces. But the idea is, guys, that it creates a large and complex surface area which forces the vapor coming up the column and the reflux heading back down the column to interact with each other. So imagine that something like this is stuffed inside that column. When that liquid drops on top of it and it's all scrunched up, it's got a long complex path to get out to the bottom, right? It's not going to just fall straight through it. And the vapor going up's got the same thing as well. And because it's got lots of surface area, it gives a lot of area for those two things to interact with each other. Now what happens is the vapor going up the column strips out the more volatile chemicals in the reflux going down, and the reflux going down kind of strips the less volatile chemicals out of the vapor going up. And because we've got the condenser sitting at the top, this whole thing's happening over and over and over again to a percentage of the vapor and liquid inside the column. Whew! I think we're done with that. So, why have I put you through that long-winded explanation of pot stills versus reflux stills? Now, basically the long and short of it is that the process of reflux, what a reflux still excels at, or does really well at, is distilling to a much higher ABV, much more efficiently than a pot still. And because of that, it's also a much cleaner product. You'll notice me doing this because I don't know if that's necessarily... It is a good description of it, but it gives a wrong impression depending on perspective. A reflux stills product is more likely to be light, not oily. It is likely to have less flavour than the pot still flavour. It's definitely going to be at a higher ABV than the pot still. But I see this notion that a reflux still is going to take all flavour out of a product. And I just do not agree with that. If there's flavour in it to start with, there's going to be flavour in it at the end, depending on what the flavour is, obviously. Some flavours don't transfer through distilling. But there definitely will be less of it, and there's definitely things you can do along the way to drop that flavour off if you want. But that's not what this is a video about. What this video is about is deciding which of those two things you want to do. So my question to you is this: what do you love drinking, and what do you want to make? Because at the end of the day, that's what this should be about, right? Is chasing the craft is about being able to create what you like to drink in the way you like to drink it with your own stuff, to taste it, to tweak it, to change it, to make it more what you want to drink. I got a little ranty there, didn't I? Sorry guys, back up. Sorry, that's why I do this, and that's why I love telling other people about it, because that's what's really cool about this hobby. So if you want to make vodka, you want a reflux still. If you want to make gin, you want a reflux still. On the other hand, if you want to make big bold rums, if you want to make single malts, bourbons, anything like that that has big bold flavours that come through from the mash, then a pot still is probably the tool you want to use. Now, of course, you can put something through a pot still multiple times and keep bumping that distillate up in ABV and keep bumping the flavours down, making it lighter and cleaner. And on the other hand, you can what they call detune your reflux still. You can do things like remove the packing from out of it, or basically run it in a way that doesn't create a whole lot of reflux within the still, and run that reflux still more like a pot still as well. But they're not the ideal tool for doing the opposite thing. Does that make sense? So if you're trying to decide to go with one or the other, think about what you really, really want to make. What you're passionate about, what you love, what would make you excited to be able to sit down and taste your own vodka, flavoured vodka, gin, whiskey, rum. You get my point? See which one of those you really want to do, and that's the way you want to head. And saying that, the guys that know me know that I have to plug the CCVM still right about now. Now I made a CCVM still first because it is a hybrid of the two, like a true hybrid. It's a real reflux still, and you can very easily change it into a real pot still. That's why I love it. If you are not sure for some reason or another what the best tool for the job is for the specific spirit that you want to drink, drop some comments or some questions down in the questions below. I'll try and get to it if I can, but if I don't get there first, I know someone else in this video will help you answer it. If you've been in this game for a while and you've got any other hints, tips, tricks for people with these questions, make sure you drop those in the comments down below. I know people really appreciate knowledge coming from other places as well, guys, and that's the beauty of this community, so drop some love down in the comments. I also, team, want to say a huge thank you to the Patreons for making this stuff happen. The only reason that I've able to justify the time of day to this channel and to keep it running is because of these guys here. So thanks so much, guys. And I know everyone else watching is appreciating it as well. I'm out of here. Keep on chasing the craft, guys.